This is the Swarm and Shoot Football Show, episode number 17, with me, Manny Matsakis, head football coach at Defiance College, and Lynn Groll, the publisher of the Black Swamp Football Preview magazine. We feature Defiance College football and everything that influences our program. This show is brought to you by our friends at, here we go, Lynn, ready?
Yep.
Big B Coffee. To our YouTube group there that is watching this. And Big B is right across campus on North Clinton Street. That's where we get the finest coffee beverages in Defiance. Most of our staff is there multiple times a day, even late for the iced coffees, Lynn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can never beat an iced coffee late at night.
No, yeah. You got to keep going. That's part
Exactly.
of the deal during the season. You just can't get enough coffee. And you start your day, you get a pick me up in the middle of the afternoon, and then you got to roll into the night because you got recruiting calls to make, which we'll talk a little bit about recruiting here today. And Chris Shank will be here, our recruiting coordinator, here shortly. And you guys can get into the nuts and bolts of what we're doing in recruiting. So we had an off week, and now we've got the Franklin game coming up this week, which we know a little bit about that opponent. I mean, they lost to Manchester, which I didn't realize it's been 10 years since they won. In fact, the other day, Nate Jensen had texted me. I was coming back from recruiting on the East Coast, and he was texting me about, that particular deal that they're coming up with this week because they play Hanover. And he was just talking about their quarterback and situations and all that. So, and I congratulate him on their big win.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And actually, Nate owes me lunch if he's listening.
Oh, well,
yeah. So I'm going to call him out.
Call him out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, he'll be here soon again.
Yes.
But this time on our turf.
Yeah.
So that'll be fun as we get going. But so what you thinking about today?
How was the week off? Get a lot done?
I think we got a lot done considering where we are. We got guys healthy. We were able to have a pretty good set of practices last week. And I think the exciting thing about it was we got a chance to see a lot of players because we had a little scrimmage on Wednesday. And every quarterback got some nice drives in, and we're able just to see guys react and play. We filmed it, and it was something that guys could grow from, and also gave us a chance to see some guys. I think we found a couple guys in there that will be featured this week in the Franklin game that weren't getting very many reps before.
Yeah. Do you prefer to have a bye week middle of the season, kind of like this year? Do you have a preference, kind of when a bye week falls for you each year?
Anything's better in the beginning of the season.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah, I would much rather do it then. As the head coaches, we had a meeting and we were all talking about maybe having the same bye week, which I thought was a really good idea. But one of the coaches, he didn't want to do it, and he had his own reasons. But it was about 50-50 split. I think it was only one coach from happening. And we were talking about doing it prior to the last game of the season. So that's rivalry week is what we were trying to set up. So before we would play Bluffton, we would both have an off week, and so everybody's really healthy. And whoever the playoff team is at the end of the year, they can get healthier prior to their last game and roll into the playoffs. And it makes sense. We may revisit that, but that would be I think that was my preference. But, all in all, I mean, I like where ours is right now.
Yeah. What was the biggest thing that you worked on a week ago outside of recruiting coach with practices and that sort of thing?
Oh, Tuesday was more of a drills and skills practice. We're able just to work with guys a little bit without the pressure of a game that Saturday. We're able to get them out there and just see their fundamental techniques a little closer. The tempo of practice wasn't a typical torrid pace, but it was more in teaching mode. So I think that was the best part of Tuesday. And then Wednesday, just turn them loose. I mean, it was really fun. I mean, I enjoyed it. A lot of enthusiasm because even the quarterbacks were live, which is not necessarily – you never do that. But at this point, I mean, I think everybody but Reggie, we did not play Reggie. And but we let all the other quarterbacks go, so they were live, and my goodness, some of them made some pretty good plays. I mean, it was like, it's funny when your heart is going like a rabbit because the D linemen are running after you. It's a little different deal. So we got a chance to see some guys make plays, and it's exciting for the future. We've got some good players on both sides of the ball that showed up in that particular scrimmage on Wednesday.
Pleasantly surprised with some things that the kids done.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I really was. Yeah, I was just like, I did not expect them to be as polished as they were, considering the limited amount of reps some of them get during the season, which all goes to our, the big push is next year as we build that roster up, which is what recruiting is really about, is to have more JV games, to set some things up, because a lot of teams will have 5 or 6 of them that have bigger rosters. I mean, Mount Union has 10. They play 10 JV games, but their rosters at around 230, so it's a little different deal because I don't know how they could retain anybody by not playing a whole group of guys. So they usually bring in about 120 to 140 guys in a freshman class or in a newcomer class. So they can do that.
Yeah. JV games, how have those gone for you this year? If you can touch on that a little bit.
Well, we had the one early in the season, and then we had a couple that got canceled because not enough linemen. And it wasn't just us, it was also the opponent. Like Ohio Northern was going to play us, and then they said, well, we don't have enough O-linemen. I said, darn. We were trying to put together a group. Sometimes we'll have linebackers play tackle or something on offense just to put them out there. I mean, that's what we did in the first one. But I will say they were fun, and what I think a lot of people don't realize, and I think I was sitting in I was down the sideline, then I took a little look up around the stands, and it was against Trine, and there's a lot of people there. I'm talking a lot more than you would think, right? So I see our new vice president, Tracy Dicer Ford, up there watching the JV game and supporting them, and we had some other staff members, faculty, and so forth out there watching the game. A lot of students. And so I just looked around, I started counting. How many on Trine's side, how many on our side? We had over 300 people at a JV football game. Yeah, which if that is the case, and I've been to other events on campus, it's like, well, after football, for average attendance at a game, then you'd say basketball. I don't know how many other sports have 300 people at a game. Yeah. And that tells you, this isn't Texas where it's like football, number 1 sport, spring football is the number 2 sport, then basketball and baseball and all those other sports come sort of go in there. But that's Texas. But hey, that's a pretty neat deal. I thought it was really awesome to do that, which tells me that our students and faculty and staff support our student athletes, unlike most places. I mean, for them to come out, and I think that was on a Sunday, they just came out and, instead of sitting there watching an NFL game, they spent 2 hours watching our guys play and get better, and it was exciting and fun, and just like the game of football is.
Yeah. Take me through your past experience having JV teams and how much they help you at the big-time level where you're getting those kids maybe next year, 2 years, 3 years, whatever it may be, Coach.
Well, I mean, it's vital. I know the best experience I had with JV was when I was at Bethany College in Kansas, which is an NAIA program. In some ways similar to here, because we got there late, not as late as this, took that job. But that job, I think I took it over in April at some point, which is still pretty late in recruiting. And we were able to still get I think we signed 65, 70 guys getting in that late. And they had nobody at that point even coming to play football. So we started a little bit of, we were thinking, hey, let's do a JV program. The next year we did a JV program and played 6 games. And we were, as coaches, we're watching the film. We were able to move guys up to varsity. And during the season we kept getting better. I mean, we took a team basically from the first year 2-9 to 7-4 in a season just by having a full JV schedule and more guys engaged in practicing which I think makes a big difference. And that's what I'm looking forward to here, just putting a solid JV schedule together next year. And there's so many teams locally. I mean, we can go within an hour and a half and play 5 or 6 different teams. And sometimes JV, you'll play the same team home and home, back and forth like you do in basketball, I think, stuff like that.
Before we bring Coach Shank in here, take me through kind of your recruiting trip. I know you made a long trip out on the East Coast a week ago. Take me through that and kind of your thoughts and some things that you saw, Coach.
Well, I was getting some calls from friends on the East Coast, and the nice thing for us is it doesn't cost a whole lot because I just go out and stay with friends, so you're not getting, hotels for 4 nights on the East Coast and all that. So, I just got in a car, drove, and it was about a 10-hour trip to Connecticut, where I started everything. And I got there, I was able to get started Thursday morning there. After our practice Wednesday, I started driving and went out that way. And I was born in Connecticut. I don't know if you knew that. But,
yes, I did.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it was just, born there. And I, when I was little, before grade school, we lived in New London, Connecticut, which is right on the shore down there where I think the Coast Guard Academy's there. And so, I had friends there, and I was able to stay with a good friend of mine. And the high school football is fantastic in the area. And, my brother coaches out in New Jersey. He's one of those premier, it's crazy there. Like the parochial schools are like a totally different level than the, the public schools. So, I'm hearing about all these different players and just being out there and just talking to some other people out there, you're able to notice that, like, I didn't know they had like 40 players, Division I, not like Youngstown, which would be FCS. I'm talking 40 Division I FBS players. It would be like Bowling Green, Toledo, and Ohio State, Michigan, out of the state of Connecticut every year.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
that has changed probably 20, 30 years ago. And I know when I was growing up, the Northeast was not recruited, and it's
just
taken
in New
off.
Jersey, it hasn't. Yeah. So you get that, but the thing that was interesting to me is when you would talk about the cost of attendance to come to here to Defiance College, comparing it, and you tell people, oh, this is what it costs to go here, everything, and they're like, oh, that you guys are a public school, That's what it is. I mean, literally, our total cost of attendance is comparable to going to the University of Connecticut, Southern Connecticut State University, schools like that. We're the same. So that's a great sell, I think, moving forward for our coaches, is that we can go to that part of the country, and I think parents out there want a private school education, and they're getting it for a public school price. And so that makes it even more attractive for us. And I think we have some players already from the East Coast. We have one young man that's sitting out this year, is a pretty good player from Connecticut. And so it would give us, between that area, New York, Long Island, New Jersey, a pocket of people that may want to leave the area and get a great education and have a wonderful experience playing football.
Yeah. Compare maybe the football out there. It's probably more of a basketball region traditionally. Compare that to kind of what you see here. Is football picking up out there?
Yeah, it is. I think football is really premier out there. I mean, there's some the thing is, even in areas you would think football might be the second fiddle to possibly basketball, which is really the only other major sport that gives significant scholarships when you're looking at the big schools. Because everybody else, like baseball, softball, they all have to partial. Even at Ohio State, you get your books. You
may get one or two every once in a while, but not.
Yeah,
not,
unless you're a pitcher in baseball
ride.
and legit going to get drafted high, you're not going to get full rides. That's only in football and basketball at the highest levels. Everything else is split. So, you look at that, and what happens out there is, like, even in regions you don't think footballs would be the number one, the only reason they say it isn't is because there may be some marquee players that come out of a region that are playing basketball. It's really all it is. Not like there's any more. And so if you go to a high school football game there, it's packed. It's totally it's like it is in hotbeds around Ohio and Texas and all that. So the good programs have really good crowds, and so that's why I think football is always going to be good, because in this country, it sort of fits the way we are. You have you have a deal where you look at if you and I go to a football game, we can watch these guys out there playing. And I say, okay, that receiver, he's a little guy. Okay, he looks like, the guy in the grocery store. Then you got the big guy, he's 300 pounds. Oh, he looks like the other guy that's in the grocery store, maybe, going to some fast food joint or something like that, And you got tall guys, little guys. You have all that. But if we go to an NBA basketball game, those people just don't exist in normal towns. Yeah. You see, so I think that's why football in and of itself is America's game. One, there's more Americans playing it than any other sport. We can say baseball is. But you look at it, we have more foreigners playing here. The percentage of foreigners playing Major League Baseball is considerable. You don't have a lot of foreigners playing in the National Football League. So I always believe football is going to be in great shape. And for small colleges, it's booming because the sheer numbers of programs that are sprouting up everywhere, because they know how much it helps enrollment, and it's a number one revenue generator of any small college.
Yeah. Before we bring Coach Shank in here to talk some recruiting, give me your thoughts on Franklin this week, kind of the team that traditionally has been what everybody has gone for in the conference and shot for.
Last spring I was out there for a head coaches meeting. It's the first time I'd been on their campus. Beautiful campus.
Right. Yes.
Love where the stadium is. It's right in the middle of the campus, and you could just see, at least you could see what it could be. And then the other coaches, I was just asking, "Hey, Nate, what's it like to play there?" Oh, he goes, "It's great because, you're in the middle of the campus, and he goes, hopefully you're not their homecoming game because it's tough to go through those fans when you're playing." I don't know if we are this week or not. We'd have to look that up. Maybe Manchester was, and they upset him. Who knows? But I think it is historically has been a great football program. I mean, even before this coaching staff, they were great. Before that, they have former Hall of Fame coaches that are there, that were there, and so I think their college, the university there, supported it really well. And over time, that's number one. I mean, it's all about your administration and how everybody gets on the same page, which I feel that's where we are now, moving in that direction to help us out. But Franklin's good. Obviously, they're stinging right now, so we're going to be dealing with a group of pretty upset coaches and young men on their side of the ball. But I don't think that stuff's going to matter. I think in the end, the team that makes the least mental errors and gets the most turnovers is going to be in a position to win the game in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, are those kind of the keys for you? Eliminate the mistakes and
without
turnovers.
Question. Yeah, I think that's number one. We always talk about starting fast. Yeah, we need to. I mean, I'm getting our coaches, we're all tired of not starting fast. Our players are tired of that. But it's the thing that in order to start fast, you have to practice that way. You have to come out with the intention of that happening. And even when a play goes down and doesn't work out your way, it's how you respond to that play. So I think we've got the ability, as each week goes along, I think we can start much better this week, which then you don't know how that affects the rest of the psyche of the team on the sidelines. It's them and us, because they haven't seen us start fast. So if we do, our guys could, certainly would gain momentum from that, and who knows if they'll have some doubts on their side.
Appreciate it, Coach. Thanks so much. Good luck on Saturday against the Grizzlies.
Okay. Well, Chris will be a wonderful guest star appearance.
He will, yes.
There you go. Okay.
Defiance College assistant coach Chris Shank, bye week, but was anything but a bye week for you. You were all over the place last week.
Yeah, I was all over Northwest Ohio, Central Ohio, and then Chicago as well. So recruiting.
Yeah. How did everything go? If you can kind of put that in a nutshell, how was the week for you guys?
I thought it was great. We got a chance to get out, especially locally. You had some time off because we practiced on Tuesday and Wednesday, so we had some time off to go out and really go revisit local high schools, which hadn't been done here in a long time, is recruiting and trying to cultivate those relationships with the local high school coaches, and even get some of the local talent, here at home, keep them in our backyard, and then branch out and go try to find guys for the roster next year. But I liked the way we had structured practice. It was just focusing on developing our guys, and not so much maybe just scouting and running against Franklin stuff, but just kind of developing our guys as they are and letting them compete a little bit against each other.
I know you're not far from here, just a little over an hour from Tiffin. What is the football that you've seen kind of in the backyard of Defiance College? What does the teams around this area kind of bring to the field in your mind, Coach? I
mean, to me, it's a bunch of tough kids, a bunch of blue collar type kids, which is we're Tiffin. Same thing. I mean, you're going to have some undersized guys playing out of position, but they're football players. They're smart, they're coached well. They're guys that you can build a program with because they enjoy playing football. And as with everything, the main quality I look for in a young man when I'm recruiting him is his coachability.
Yeah.
Can he be coachable? Yeah. Can he listen? And I'll sacrifice some size and ability for that.
Yeah. Yeah. Why do you want the local kids, if you can kind of talk to the people that are listening, watching online, what is important to have the local kids come here to Defiance College in your mind, Coach?
One, because there's good football around here. Mm-hmm. It's small school, which sometimes gets a bad rap. And I mean, I played at a Division VII high school, so I mean, I can speak to the fact that it's not bad football. It's good football. Mm-hmm. It's just, you may have guys playing both sides and whatever the case may be, but there's good football players. And that's what we're in the market for. And it's right down the road. It helps retention. It helps having a little bit of pride in the area, the town, the school. And that's what you want. And it kind of helps those guys from maybe the California guys, Florida guys, Texas guys that come in, helps them to kind of assimilate to the area and to the culture a little bit here in Northwest Ohio. Yeah.
Where else were your coaches at a week ago looking for new guys?
Yeah, I mean, we were all over the state. The way we have it structured is all of our full-time coaches have a county that borders Defiance County. So we all went out to those counties. And then, I went down to Columbus for a day. Coach Starkey went out to Cleveland for a few days. Coach Bolin went down to Cincinnati, then over to the Ohio Valley because that's where Coach Matsakis is from. So that's like God's country out there. We have to recruit that. That may be right up there with the local areas. We got to recruit the OVAC. But and then Coach Johnson was in Canton, Akron, Youngstown, Western Pennsylvania. So I mean, some really all the hotbeds in the state of Ohio.
Are there any dire needs position-wise that you are really looking for, or are you just trying to get whatever you can for 2020?
I mean, just depth-wise, some numbers at some positions, that's a need. But, no, I think right now where we're at, in person as I look at it, is we need to bring in as many good football players as we can, because you get better you build a college football program, you make them better one of two ways, or both ways really, is developing them in the offseason and recruiting better than what you have. Mm-hmm. Now, if you can recruit good football players, now you're creating a sense of competition with it. Now everybody's level raises up a little bit more, and so I don't think, I mean, we got some needs, but none more than the other. I don't believe.
Yeah. What can you kind of sell recruits on for 2020? I'm sure some playing time competition to play for sure with young guys.
Yeah, I mean there's playing time competition. There's a chance to come in here and be part of something special. As we're building the program up, we have an administration that truly cares about football, and I've been around Division III football, small school football since, pretty much the day I was born, and you're only as good as your administration allows you to be. And ours is giving us the support right now that seems to allow us to be able to do some pretty good things. So these guys are going to have a chance to come in and be a part of that from the ground level. Mm-hmm. For a alumni and community that really supports what we're doing. I think, the crowd we had at our one home game so far this year. Yeah. It was a great crowd. Here we are at 0-5, and I mean it was a phenomenal crowd because they care, they see what we're doing, and they see the guys, and so the support's there. And then we're doing some things like that. It's different playing for a guy like Coach Matsakis. We got a virtual reality system for our quarterbacks. We have a podcast studio in our office to help market our program and get the word out about what we're doing. And the way we kind of market our guys and market the program and get it out there in front of people, I think it can attract players, and they want to be a part of stuff like that.
Yeah. Do you stay pretty close to home recruiting during the season, or you talk? I mean, sure, you're talking to kids, California, other parts of the U.S. right now as well.
Yeah. Going out, when you go visit schools, it's going to be generally be pretty close. But I mean, I have a couple calls scheduled tonight after practice, or California guys, Georgia guys, all over the country, because if you're not recruiting them, somebody else is.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah,
we got to get through the tape and evaluate our guys and find the right ones that we need to talk to and call, and I don't care where they're from.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. Take me through from a Division III coaching level. Mm-hmm. How do you find guys? What is kind of your avenue to find kids that you want to bring here to Defiance College, Coach?
I mean, it's everything from going to camps, different recruiting services, NCSA, Scouting Ohio, Be Recruited, you get the camp list from coaches, Twitter, kids following you, sending you a highlight film, you get them to fill out a questionnaire. I mean, it's a lot of things. Going out to the schools in the spring and at the beginning of the year once camp breaks and all that, and coaches getting you coaches sheets and whatever the case may be. Any way you can get a number and a kid's name, position, and their phone number. Everything else, you're good after that. Now it's on you.
Yeah.
Okay. But then once you get that and you evaluate their film and you make sure that, or you saw him run around at camp, like, hey, this is a guy that, we want to give him a shot here, think he could be a pretty good player here, then you start sending him, if it's a linebacker, I'm going to give him to Coach Starkey. Hey, what do you think? Yeah, go ahead, recruit him. All right, great. We're going to have a spot and just kind of build it through there.
Do you kind of look at kids when they're playing and say, hey, maybe if they're a quarterback, say, well, maybe they're going to be something else? Do you look at that when you're watching film or at the games, and maybe even talk to the kids probably about that, I guess?
Yeah, absolutely, because I hate not having a plan for some of these young men. I think when you recruit some of these guys, you have to let them know where you're recruiting them.
Their opinion's valuable to you as well.
100%. And I'm not going to sit there because I'm not offering them a scholarship. I'm not saying, hey, Lynn, I'm recruiting you to play offensive tackle. That's what you're playing.
Yeah.
Now, if a kid's a two-way player, three-way, you'll recruit, especially some of the small schools, they're playing just all over the place. The way I always approach it is, it's like, listen, I like you at, say, linebacker or safety. What do you want to play? Well, Coach, I think I'd be better at, super back. Okay. I'm going to recruit you as a super back. But then we'll have that open conversation that if, hey, I know you can play this other side of the ball. If we bring in 80 super backs, and two linebackers, I may ask you to go over. I'm not going to force you. And they'll be like, okay, that's fine.
Yeah. I'm going to kind of put you on the spot here because it's kind of a hot topic with college athletics and kids, playing one sport as opposed to maybe two or three.
Yeah.
Is that something that you guys like, is having a kid that plays multiple sports? Doesn't matter? Take me through kind of the mindset of a college recruiter there.
I mean, if he's playing multiple sports in high school, great. Because one or two things, they're always competing. If they're playing football, then they're wrestling, or playing basketball, then baseball or track, whatever the case may be. Great, they're competing year round. Okay, for a lineman, I love if they were wrestling.
Wrestling, yep.
I mean, it's a toughness, it's leverage,
hand, feet,
it's everything.
Yeah.
I would love if every high school offensive lineman that I recruited, offensive and defensive lineman I recruited, wrestled. We'll get guys that want to play two sports in college. Now, that's tough.
Mm-hmm.
They don't quite understand the demands, but if it's not going to take away from football or anything, yeah, go for it.
Yeah.
But I'm all for guys playing multiple sports, because the other thing is guys, if they're just solely focused on baseball, solely focused on football, so it may get burnt out a little bit too. by the end of the deal.
Yeah.
You know,
Yep.
so.
I know Defiance College has maybe not recruited this area as heavily as what you guys have since you got here. What has maybe been the reaction? And I know the reaction, but I want to ask you with the coaches from the areas that you've gotten out into.
I think it's
seen
been
you
great.
guys. Yeah,
I think it's been great. I mean, it's a place. I mean, people. It's shocking. You know, some of the programs are good programs. They win games and they have good players. Have not really seen a lot of Defiance coaches, football coaches, come rolling through the doors, and it's a little shocking. You know, maybe the previous staffs had other priorities. I don't know. I don't know. I'm not in their heads, but to me, the first thing you need to be able to recruit and control is your backyard if you're going to have a good football program.
Yeah,
and that's what we're doing. So.
Yeah. Last thing for you, for kids listening right now, what do they need to do to maybe get in contact with you, get their name out there for Defiance College to maybe look at them?
Yeah, you can go on our website. They can fill out one of our questionnaires. It comes right to me. They can follow me on Twitter, you know, at Coach_Shank05. Coach Starkey, he's very active on Twitter himself, at DC Coach Starkey. But just get us our name, you know, email us. All that contact information is on our website. Just go on our website and send us your information. Send us your film.
Yeah. Appreciate you so much for stopping by. It was great talking to you.
Absolutely. Appreciate it.
Good luck on Saturday with the Grizzlies.
Yes, thank you.
Thanks, Coach. Appreciate it. We'll be back next week with another podcast on the Swarm and Shoot with Coach Matsakis. And never know, we may bring in a special guest.
Who knows?
Thank you.